All right, guys. So today we were joined by four really amazing and talented men who goes by their DJ names: Demon, Wi-Fi, Juggernaut, and Gold Uzi. All of these guys put together is what makes up Xile Collective, which is a group that I've looked up to for a really long time. You guys have really inspired me along my journey. And I was just at the Symphonic Drive-In event a couple. When was that? When did you guys play?
It was like
a month ago.
it was like
Month and
yeah,
a half,
like a month ago, a month and a
Month
half.
ago. Okay. So Wi-Fi and Juggernaut went back to back. Fantastic performance. I've seen so many of your guys' sets, and Juggernaut's actually played at my house a couple times. But today I'd like to proudly welcome the Xile Collective boys. Gentlemen, great to see you. How we doing?
Pretty good.
Oh,
great, man.
Great.
Fantastic.
Good.
Happy to be here.
Sweet. So we're going to go into like individual artist paths. So I'm going to start off with Gold Uzi. Basically where you're from, how long you've been making music, and then because you're one of the founders of Xile Collective. So kind of like your take on like how that originally started.
So I'm from the Pleasant Hill Bay Area, and I started in hip hop originally. And
Nice.
the thing about hip hop though is the scene is kind of it's a little trash. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
The reason being, I was like a hip hop DJ. I ran like a small little collective back then. We were playing like small little rap shows in Oakland, and just everybody was so toxic. Like I literally can't explain it. Like you really got to indulge yourself in the hip hop community to understand the toxicity.
I've seen it from an outsider's perspective. It even looks that way too. So
yeah, it seems like everybody's in competition with one another.
Yeah.
Like rappers just want to, constantly shit on each other and, not listen to each other's music or support each other's music. And then anyway, fast forward to getting into the EDM scene. I met Tyler, and I already knew Noah from high school actually, but we reconnected through the EDM scene.
Yep.
And we ended up starting Exile, and we wanted it to be as inclusive as possible with the whole entire rave scene. Just kind of, to chase that whole kind of a plur persona kind of ideal.
Right.
But that's pretty much a small little background on me.
Cool. And we'll touch more on that a little bit later. Wi-Fi, I'm going to ask you the same kind of questions. What went into making Exile from your angle?
Yeah. So honestly, I've always been involved with music, kind of growing up. Like I was in a band back in the day. I know Uzi had his hip hop experience back in the day as well, and I remember he told me a lot of interesting things about that as well. So I do know where he's coming from and understand what he's saying. But so after I was in like a kind of like a post-hardcore rock band, I got into the EDM scene when I turned 18, and then from there I kind of fell in love with like the whole dubstep thing, and I was on a mission to kind of find what type of music or what I liked about it.
Yep.
And along the way, I met a lot of good people, and one of my really good friends, we started a Wi-Fi together. And
so you guys started Wi-Fi together?
Yeah. So cool. I actually founded it with with my homie Nico.
Okay.
And a lot of stuff went through that, and then we kind of split later down the line. And I got really close with all the homies here, like Gold Uzi and everyone, and then we started Exile. And we actually just kind of went after, trying to bring the underground label, or trying to bring the underground above ground. So
nice.
That's kind of where I come from.
That's very similar to obviously what I'm trying to do with this podcast. So
exactly.
We share very similar morals. Can you guys, since there was a topic there, can you guys name like a combination of like three things of like what you didn't like about the hip hop scene?
Mm-hmm.
Like in specific?
Cockiness.
Yeah.
Lack of empathy, and closed doors in terms of, labels and shows and stuff.
And I feel like that's very different from the EDM community. It's very open arms, very like, hey, let's do this. Hey, like if you work hard, like anything's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tyler, what do you think?
Honestly, so from what Uzi's told me, there just seemed like a lot of like you were saying, like negative competition. I mean, there's a lot of that like within the stuff we're doing now as well. Yeah. But also I don't know, I feel like once you get a solid team, the people that you're working with, and like who's a good people, and some people that you want to work with, just makes it a lot easier from there, like when you have a solid team. And Uzi does a really, really good job at keeping us all together, especially over time, like being like so far apart and stuff like that. He still keeps the team going really well.
Yeah. So. That's sick. Are you guys are all from the Bay Area or no?
Yeah, I'm
pretty much.
Yeah. I don't live
really close.
Yeah. I was like, I
Tracy
know-
is the bae, bro.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's questionable. People say so.
I lived in Hayward in 2019, so I wasn't too far from there.
Once Bart reaches out to Tracy, finally, shit,
Right.
2026.
Yeah, that is happening.
Gonna make
That
my
is
life so much
happening.
easier.
All right, I'm gonna go to Demon now. Kind of similar question, just how you got to be a part of Xile. I know you're another creator.
Yeah, sure. I'll go first, and then I guess Marcus will go after me. I guess we can just kind of mirror these same questions.
Yep.
So I've been DJing for about 7 years now, producing for about 4. Like Daniel said, I knew him through high school, but we reconnected through music. About 4 years ago or so.
Okay.
When I started producing more heavily, we decided to start Xile together.
Nice.
He had come from producing hip hop and was dabbling around in EDM, and he had a few tracks out. We knocked out a collab together a few years ago, and then right around that time, we started Xile together. And it's just been basically all about Xile ever since.
Yeah.
Now, flash forward in 2021, I know me and Daniel's energy was a lot focused on Xile, so
That's awesome. Yeah, that's one thing. Like, you guys especially because you guys have a team of each other, like to push each other and whatnot. But that's one thing. It's like just work hard, and you can really get after anything. You know, you can make anything happen. So, I in my opinion, in my eyes, I know not everyone in this group, 100% personally, but the guys that I do know in here, it's almost like the Xile brand. Like if I see that on a flyer, more people are like, oh shit, Xile. And then individually, like, I don't know, I feel like your group in specific is like definitely more powerful in numbers, if that makes sense.
You know what's crazy about that too is that I feel like our group is more powerful than us as individual artists.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone brings like a solid, like a certain skill set to the team, and then like we're all, like we have our foot in with different,
Right.
like different areas, and like we all kind of bring it together, which makes like your team makes it more powerful than just what one of us can do on our own, I feel like.
Absolutely. And leading with that, you guys have a huge audience in where? Chile?
Yeah.
That's sick. How did that even happen?
So long story short, basically I was scrolling through SoundCloud looking for submissions or looking for artists I could release with us. I found this guy named Katala out of Chile, and I decided to message him. I was like, yo, your music's really good. Would you be down to release with us? And he was like, yeah, 100%. So he ended up releasing with us on, I think it was a single. I can't really remember. I'm pretty sure it was a single, not an EP release. Anyway, yeah, he ended up releasing with us, and then he had some friends that wanted to release with us too, because they're like, oh yeah, it's so hard to get into the American music scene. We've been submitting, we can't get in. So we're like, yeah, release with us. And
that's sick.
We ended up building like a really good relationship and connection with them. And then fast forward, we ended up releasing Xile International Volume 1, which represented all Chilean artists. And yeah, they were all really happy to be a part of that project.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so let's now jump into the other part of Demon.
Oh yeah, so I was just saying, we back around that time, when we knocked that collab out with Daniel, that was one of the actual first. I think that was like gotta be the first 3 songs that we made as DMN, right, Marcus? That collab was probably around the same time as Area 52 and the House. So we kind of all
shout out Firefly.
Yeah, so we kind of formed DMN very shortly before Xile happened. There was only maybe a few months to a year. It started out as a 3-person project, but work and life gets in the way. So me and Marcus ended up holding it down, and I'll let him fill you guys in on the rest of all that.
Yeah. So to start off, I've been dabbling in music production for like about 8 years. It's always been like a balancing act for me. Because until a couple years ago, before I graduated college, that was like one of my main focuses. But I've been producing off and on for a while. And about 4 years ago, we took DMN seriously. And what's funny is I was home over summer vacation because I was going to school in San Diego, and we were all chilling. And we just like made a house song while on summer vacation. That was the very first song we made. And then I went back to school, and it kind of like fizzled out for a while because I wasn't collaborate as much. But then once I moved back, we steadily started increasing the amount we were producing. And
it's hard, man. I feel you with the grind and with school. I say this in a lot of interviews too, but like I'm a full-time student, plus I have a full-time job outside of this. So like having a project on top of that, it's gnarly. It's hard to get the balance right.
It is
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the same exact situation.
Yeah.
Working as much as I possibly could to pay for everything, and obviously full-time student. I
Yeah.
know Daniel knows that life too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm literally graduating in a
That's
month
crazy.
here, or actually
Hell
no,
yeah.
2 weeks. Yeah, I did my BA in 2
Yeah,
weeks.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
It's awesome, man. All right.
Yeah.
Juggernaut, your turn.
All right. So basically, started producing. I want to say like maybe like 3, 4, 4.5, 5 years ago, maybe somewhere around there. It's hard to remember, but I was doing it for like a year, maybe 2 years, and then I knew of Wi-Fi, and I knew that they were playing a lot of the shows that I was going to, and I thought, like, damn, eventually I want to show my music, but I was always really nervous to show people the stuff I was making. But eventually we met at a show, and I mean, we've known each other for a while, but we met, and then after the show, I was like, hey, come listen to my music and stuff. Like, I knew he probably like got that all the time, you know, like coming up to him like, hey, come listen to my shit and all this stuff. And like, I was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, yeah, I really wanted to show him, and I knew it was pretty good at the time for.
It was insane. Yeah, it was a game changer. Now I was like, bro, how have we known each other this long? And you're just now, hey, check this out, bro. And I'm like, this is some of the best.
I was working in silence. I was working in silence for a while, like, you know, like a year or a year and a half.
Yeah.
So yeah, I came to him, showed the music, and he was really impressed by it. And I basically hit him up the next day after that and was like, hey man, you know, like, I got all this music, and like, you know, I can continuously keep making it. I just like don't know really what I'm doing, or like don't know when to release or where to release or like anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he basically was like, hey man, I'm gonna go ahead and help you out as much as I can, in any way I can. You know what I'm saying? So, which I appreciate so much. And then so recently after that, I'm pretty sure my first ever release was on Xile Collective, like June 19th, 2 years ago or something like that. So and that was like my first ever release ever.
Oh boy, it's coming up.
June
You guys gotta
19th, a
celebrate.
good day for us then.
Pretty sure June.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, but yeah, it was great, man. And it was like, so like, I mean, like, I'm so thankful that they would, you know, take me in, and I definitely wouldn't have gotten as far or played any of the shows I have if it wasn't for, you know, their help and putting me on. So I was super grateful for it. But
Awesome.
yeah, so yeah, here we are. It's been a wild ride, but it's a lot of fun, man. I'm super happy.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, thank you for bringing all of us together, because I didn't.
Oh, definitely, man.
You're the one that I think I know the most. And I remember meeting you at DNA actually. I don't know, a couple years, 2019, I think, somewhere around that time. I just moved there, started working for Olympus, and you closed out one of the nights with your buddy Aaron, right?
Yeah, my boy. Shout out Cheap Suits. Hell yeah.
Yeah, you guys killed it. And then, later on, I started throwing house parties at my house, and I was like, with full, you know, DJ lineups, and I was like, man, I got to get Joogornot on. I know he's from out here. It wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Anytime, bro. This was so much fun.
Yeah. Once I'm going to be moving to LA next year, so once I get a place down there, if you guys are ever needing a place to stay or hang out or party or come play a mix or something, you guys are always welcome. So,
Sounds great.
all right, so let's dive into like the actual Xile like project as a collective. What was the idea? Like, what originally caused your guys' minds to be like, oh, let's create Xile? And where'd you guys get the name and all that kind of stuff? What was like the beginning stages?
So essentially, Xile started with me just kind of contemplating how I wanted to carry over the hip hop collective that I had going on, but kind of more into the EDM scene. And then I also wanted, you know, very reliable people on board, because the people that I worked with before were not reliable.
Yeah.
Just, you know, got me into a bunch of shit. And, you know, I just wanted actual professional artists, professional DJs to kind of come together and then make a project and, you know, share similar roles and just be able to move forward in the scene.
Right.
So I was already good friends with Tyler, and I was showing him my music, Tyler and Nico. And I remember they liked it. And I was also hanging out with Noah briefly. Like, we were just barely reconnecting and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And based off that, you know, I talked with them, and we decided that, yeah, we should, you know, have a collective / label kind of idea. And then in terms of how we created the name, it was kind of interesting. Well, honestly, it's not interesting at all. Our homie Alex, he was like, you guys should name it Exile. And I was like, yeah, but that's too long, bro. Like I want it to be 4 letters. So he's like, drop the E. I was like, dude, fucking
that actually
genius.
works. Yeah, right.
I remember, dude, like back in the day, I'd be like, we were trying hard too. I was like, I had lists of like names, and like we were all shooting them, and then came up with the Exile one. We were like, oh, bro, yeah, that's game over. Hit.
It's a great name.
I mean, naming shit is the hardest part of all of this. I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Definitely.
The one thing that I
Naming
learned
songs,
from
naming
sorry, go ahead.
I was saying naming songs, like me and Marcus, we take forever to name songs, and then when it came time to naming the arrival, we were sitting there trying to name that event in the Snapchat group chat for like 2 weeks.
Keep shooting names. We keep thinking.
I was like, all right, final answer, guys. Is the arrival cool? We all just like, yes. All right, the arrival.
All right, sick. That's how we got it.
I've always been an adamant firm believer in having short names that are unique.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's the easiest to blast on a flyer.
Yeah,
Right.
true.
Short,
Yeah,
sweet.
I did not take that route, unfortunately, but I kind of got a long name. Oh well.
No, you're good, man. Everybody attacks it their own way.
Right. What were some of the earlier days like? Like what, like bookings and getting the Exile name out there? How did you guys go about that?
You want to take this, Tyler?
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good time. So like I said, I started Wi-Fi with my homie Nico, and from then on, like once we started Exile, like we started kind of spitballing, and then I also had a foot in the door with like Amplify at the time, just because I was like just did the whole promoter thing, worked up with like Club X and all that, and then once EPR went down, they're like, all right, we're gonna start Amplify, and then luckily I had a connect at the, pretty much for the venue and stuff like that. So I just was able to like kind of get myself booked, and then from then on, they're like, oh well, like you guys got more people, right? And I was like, yeah, I got like a whole, like my whole squad. Exile started it up, and then
Noah was the connect that you had, wasn't it? Wasn't Noah the connect?
Yeah. Well, Kai technically, yeah.
Noah worked for Amplify.
Yeah, I was gonna capitalize on that. I'll talk about that when Tyler's done.
Exactly. So it's like and then Noah pretty much started taking off. Like once I moved, Noah's like took off with it too, and but pretty much I feel like Amplify was a big step for us, just because all of us were able to get booked there and stuff like that, and then that was like a home ground for us as well. Like that's where I started going to shows. So like literally everybody we knew was coming out, especially anytime we played.
Yeah.
And then that just led to more connects, and then like more bookings because people see you're pulling a crowd. So.
How did you guys make the connection with the Sacramento squad? 'Cause obviously Amplify is out in the Bay Area. How did you guys move that into here?
That also, I started playing a lot of national entity shows out there as well, and then
bass therapy, right?
Yeah, and then bass therapy. Like I've known the Subphonics guys for hell a long.
Tyler. Yeah. It was Mile High. It was Elias.
Oh yeah, I know Mile High.
Yeah,
Elias and what's his name? Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, they were supporting us from like the very beginning. Like we have some old promotional videos for Exile on our YouTube, and they're like way back when we stared, and Mile High's in them.
Yeah, I think the first time I met them, they actually brought me out to Tracy to play at like this. It was like a bar or something like that. But yeah, that was like that's when I first met them too. But they were a big help as well.
Juggernot's got something to say.
I think it's so funny because Tracy is like the least popping place in the world, dude. Like,
bro, we mobbed it.
No, I know. It was definitely lit though. I know. I saw snaps that night, but like,
yeah,
I just like Tracy. Thinking about Tracy and raves, man.
Well, they're originally Elias is originally from Oakdale, and then Lestat is originally from Murata, which is like where I was born and raised, out near Stockton area. So that's why they have connections to Tracy.
Yeah.
But yeah, then they were plugged in with the Sacramento team. I was curious because I was like, man, you guys like really make a statement out here too. So starting from Amplify, how did you guys get booked on these lineups? But that makes sense. And the XL boys are fantastic guys.
I think
that's the thing about being in a collective is like it empowers. Like when you have three, when you started off as just three, so it's like when you have at least three core members, like once those three people get booked, Tyler, or like Wi-Fi, Gold Uzi, DMN, we can all share those bookings and put each other on, and that just grows adding Joogornot to that. Like you grow and grow and grow, and that's kind of it was a rough at first. Don't get us wrong, it definitely was a little bit rough at first. We did more takeovers than throwing events. We did takeovers, but we actually threw an event for the other half of Wi-Fi I think it was 3 years ago. That was the first event we
Okay.
ever did. But until then, and aside from that event, it was just a lot of takeovers and a lot of putting each other on to the bookings that we have gotten and
Right.
stuff.
It's a really
Yeah.
smart way to grow,
Yeah,
honestly.
exactly.
I also think a big thing too is like being like thing that helped me a lot definitely was like being in the scene. Even like if I'm not playing shows, like I know Tyler did this a lot too. Like we were there, like you know what I'm saying. Like I was
Yeah.
Yeah.
at the shows, meeting new people, getting people.
Dude, that's what people.
on Instagram and like meeting. That's how I met
Yeah.
Chris Archerry, who eventually got me some of my bookings, you know, at DNA Lounge and like you know what I'm saying. Like so, just
Yeah.
like I think just being in the scene and being there and meeting
Yeah.
people and being is like big.
Yeah, definitely just being present, making connects, because people it's just like a like meeting grounds technically. That's the way I look
Right.
at it. Like even
Right.
if you're just out there, you can always be networking.
We'll
Yeah.
have some fun.
Yeah, it was
That's
also
good.
Go
it was
ahead.
also really helpful that Noah was one of the booking managers for Voltage when it took off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could
And those are
touch on
big
that a
shows.
little bit if you guys want. I was gonna say a lot of those ways that we've gotten, a lot of the bookings that I've gotten actually have been revolved around just putting in work. Like, it's funny, like
Yeah.
promotions and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Like, even with like
That's
the
the one.
Player Alliance guys where I'm at now, I used to just hand out flyers for Voltage and for Vital and see Trigo, my boss right now, awesome guy. I used to just see him all the time. And he ended up booking me for So Stoked, Acid Rain, a bunch of,
Yep.
and then Days
Yep.
Cage, all these Player Alliance events, just because we knew each other from promoting and stuff.
Right.
And then with Voltage, the same thing. Kai was a person who was talking to Tyler. That was Tyler's connect when he still moved out here. I specifically remember Tyler played the first Voltage, didn't you, with Sudden Death and AFK?
Yeah, I got to close
Oh,
out the
yeah.
main stage right after them. That was actually a bit, and
God,
that was
threw it
that
out,
right
too.
there is just just tons of people you being able to see you're gonna get booked again. I feel like.
Right.
Yep. that night was like the start of when I guess things started to pick up for Exile for
Yeah.
sure, because that was like, okay, Voltage is here to take over EPR.
Yeah.
Then me and Kai got to talking. Tyler moved away. Kai hired me as his promotional manager, but that ended up becoming the stage manager for the front room. And I started booking all the DJs, like all the local DJs, as well as suggesting all the talent buying. So I was doing a lot for Voltage and ended up playing some main stage slots there and stuff. But with
Nice.
that, I'm putting on some Exile takeovers and handling the bookings, with all the local DJs.
Right.
So, like I said, that was always Tyler, Joogornot, Gold Uzi. Like we got all of our friends on it, even friends of Exile that necessarily weren't a part of Exile. We still rotated them too. Rotated them too.
Yeah,
And that's the same thing we'll be doing. Like it's nice because I have those relationships with all those DJs. So once we start throwing these shows at DNA Lounge, we're gonna have a nice rotation of DJs that I've been working with since the Voltage days.
That's sick. Maybe we'll have to talk more. Maybe we can do
put
a
everyone on.
Underground Society collab somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be
sick.
awesome. In the side room, we're doing 2-stage events for most of these, so we're
Sick.
always open for a second stage to go over in the
Awesome.
future for sure.
That'd be great. All right, let's dive into some more of these questions I had for you guys. What are you guys thinking on taking the Exile project the next like 5 to 10 years?
What do you think, Noah?
I laugh because this is a question. I only laugh because it's a topic that me and Dangle have actually talked about more recently.
Fantastic. A lot of people don't have
like-
answers for this.
Yeah, exactly. I'll start and then Dangle can finish. Marcus, feel free to join in if you have any thoughts for it too. I would like to take Exile as far as we possibly can. I don't know if it will always stay as a record label or if it's going to evolve into more event, throwing events like
Right.
steady festivals or what. Exile is a collective. We've never been defined as a record label. So Exile Collective as an EDM collective, I would like to keep our doors open. If we could take this label as far as becoming Never Say Die or Disciple
Yeah.
or anything right there, I would put 100% focus into that. But then again, if things start going really well with these events that we have planned for this year and leading into 2022, then there's a route with throwing events a lot with Exile too. So yeah, as a collective, whether it's the individual careers on the collective with DMN, I'd like to release as much music as I can and grow Exile in that way too. So I don't know. I see Exile hopefully going really far within the next 5 to 10 years. I don't see it phasing out at all. I would like to give it all I can and try to grow it into something really big within 10 years.
Right. That's
yeah,
awesome,
from the beginning, I started this with these guys as having the intention of never quitting, never stopping. And doesn't matter what happens in my life, this is literally going to be my passion until the end.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things about all of it too is just from the start, I've put tons of my own money forward at this point. I've like pretty much dug myself in such a hole financially, getting like artworks made and getting like all this other stuff made for us that it would be completely stupid for me to give up on it at any point at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah, once you put that money down, man, it's like, yeah, I'm not putting that kind of money down unless I know I'm doing this for a very long time.
No, it's insane because just each one of our artworks, with how well developed they are,
right?
We have Ivory's graphic designer, Excision's partial graphic designer doing all these artworks for us, and he does not. It's not cheap. It's
it's
like 500, 600 plus.
Yeah.
So.
And he's gotten a lot bigger since he started working with us. Like when he did our first Xile, and it isn't in no way because of us. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying since we started working with it, dude. Since we started working with it, dude, his work has just taken off. So trying to get these covers and all these packs from him, it's like a lot more than it was when we first started.
You know what you got? You know what you guys got to do now is get Rooks to shoot one of your shows.
That would be insane,
right? All right, we are running out of time, so I'm gonna jump into. I wanted to talk a little bit about your guys' show coming up at DNA Lounge on June 19th, The Arrival. Can you guys give me some information on that?
It's about to be lit.
Be like caption, bro.
Noah would know the most about this because he's the one who's running the event.
Yeah, so we're having a 2-stage locals party. This is just a test the waters, welcoming. This is basically a welcoming back party. It's gonna be slightly informal, but not at the same time because it's another Xile event. But we're gonna be doing a big family set at the end of it. So that's gonna be a big old back to back because to close out the night, we've all been waiting to play a show, for God knows how long, a year and a half. So we're just gonna go hard as fuck. Everyone better be there for that family set. That's gonna be the closing set, and then we have a stacked room of locals. A bunch of Xile friends are in the local room. We got Louder Space, 11er, and then we got the 2 Sacramento locals,
Jay Fish and Tony.
So the second room is going to be hitting. We also have some drum and bass in there as well. So it's going to be multiple genres. A lot of dubstep though, a lot of wook shit, a lot of rhythm, a little bit of drum and bass. It's going to be a night filled with bass. I know me and Marcus or DMN, we have some drum and bass and special stuff planned for that night as well.
I'm excited.
So also the DJ.
Can I answer that real quick? I just wanted to, because I want to answer that 5 to 10 year question a little bit. I think as we continue to throw events, I want Xile to be a really trusted name as far as having a good time goes. Yeah. I feel like there's a gap in the bass music community in the Bay Area where there's some big event companies, but I'd never feel like I'd go to any of those events for the event company. And I want Xile to be it's I don't care if I've seen these DJs a dozen times already. I know I'm gonna get something new. I'm gonna have a great time, and I think this show is just the beginning.
That's awesome, man.
Let's call the Arrival.
I highly agree with that as well. Because a lot of I feel the same way. Towards going to shows at this point, I have the artists I like to see and stuff like that. But honestly, I'm going for the event and the experience and the time that I'm gonna have. And I feel like Marcus hit that right on point because that's the type of experience you want to portray. Even if you don't like bass music, you're gonna have a good time. So
awesome. Why the name The Arrival? Because I know you talked about that, and you guys finally.
Also, the beginning.
I can't say too much. I can't say too much, but this is just the beginning. This is like I said. This one. The only reason why we said this is slightly informal is because of the plans that we have for the next event. So this is just the Arrival. We have lots of stuff in the works for the rest of 2021. God help us, COVID doesn't fuck that up again. But we have big plans for sure.
And then DJ contest. Do you get how are you guys running that? Submissions to what?
We're listening to 20 seconds of each clip as seen in the video. Okay.
Perfect.
Check out the flyer. Check out the video we made. We made both of those. For more information, they can be found on our Instagram. We made a flyer and we made a video.
I'm posting that today, so
awesome.
That'll be on our Instagram too.
That'll be on the page too.
Perfect.
But we're going through all those submissions. We're gonna do the same thing that we run our submissions. We have Xile submissions. Me, Tyler, and Daniel specifically go over them. So I bet it'll be us 3, and then we'll pass on the finals to the rest of the collective and pass the finals on and take a final vote on it.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So it's 2 stages of fun for all of you and your Rave fam. You can find out more information both in the description of this episode, as well as, like they said, following them on Instagram, which will also be linked in the description. But I don't want to take up too much of your time, and we are running out of time on my end. So thank you guys for being on the Underground Society podcast, telling me about all of your Xile Collective family. I am excited to see you guys hopefully soon. I'm going to try and make it out to the San Francisco show. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but I'm going to try to. But if not, hopefully I see you guys soon. Before we get out of here, can we go around and just drop all your guys' Instagram and where people can find you and stuff?
Yeah, my Instagram is golduzi.wav. My Twitter is golduziofficial. My Facebook is Gold Uzi Official as well. My YouTube is a URL that I have no idea how to link. Like 50 different digits. You could also find me on LinkedIn. You could find me on OnlyFans. No, I'm kidding.
Man, you better be careful with that one. I might have to subscribe. No, I'm just kidding.
You're gonna have all your money.
Go busy taking on my money. God damn it.
All
For
right.
DMN, you can find all of our information on solo.to/DMN. That is SOLO.to/DMN. You can find all of our DMN socials, some latest music, and all the information about the arrival on there.
Sweet. Tyler?
Yeah, and mine, pretty much my Instagram, Wi-Fi official, and not Wi-Fi spelled W-I-F-I, it's W-Y-F-Y. Just so, just in case people are looking. And then same thing with Facebook, it's just gonna be Wi-Fi, and then yeah, my SoundCloud will also just be Wi-Fi. But if you find any of my socials, I have all of the links for everything else posted in there, so you're good to go. You can find anything you like.
Perfect. Joogornot?
Yep. So yeah. So on Instagram is Joogornot_dubs. SoundCloud, just look up Joogornot. You'll definitely probably find it. Facebook is Joogornot. And yeah, just like Tyler said, on all my social medias, I have links to everything else. So yeah,
Perfect.
pretty
Awesome. Thank you, boys. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, thank you.
so much for having us on.
Yeah.